Hi, this is Derek. I have another VHS Memories review for you for today. I thought since I finished reviewing the Scream series, the 4 Scream movies on my channel, why not talk about the Spoof, which is Scary Movie. Why not talk about that a little bit? So that's my VHS memory for today. This came out in 2000. This is the VHS here. It's always kind of weird when you have like a movie, anything made past the year 2000. On VHS, because I mean, definitely with DVD, it was this turn of the century kind of technology, or very much like VHS. It was like 80s, 90s. But the millennium was all about the DVD. Now about the Blu-ray. Look where we are now, or the DVD, Blu-ray, digital copy combo pack, whatever. Holy shit! I mean, they still made VHSs up into the mid 2000s, and people were still buying them. Especially, I mean, this movie came out. I was 12, maybe 13 when this came out. Not like I had a lot of money, so I pretty much take a VHS where I could find it, a price where I could find it. And in those days, I mean, you could go into a Blockbuster and Blockbuster was a chain of retail stores that sold and rented physical copies of movies on VHS and DVD and up until its closing, Blu-ray, where you could actually walk inside and get a physical copy of the movie you wanted to watch. Look it up; it's on Wikipedia. But anyway, you walk in, go to like the bargain bin, previously viewed shelf. You can get a movie like this for like $5, $5 a pop, not bad. And that's exactly what I did. And I did actually see this movie in theaters when it came out, twice actually, just because I love the movie so much. I mean, 12 or 13. I mean, this movie's like fucking brilliant, exactly with my kind of taste. And I had already really loved the Scream movies. I was a big fan of those, and I had those on VHS too. I still have the VHSs back there. And to some extent, I like the I Know What You Did Last Summer movies too. Yeah, when I got the VHS, I guess the memory that I associated is with it is that during that time and during that year of my life or whatever, I think that was when I had moved, and it's for any age, it's kind of like a traumatic experience when you move, especially like I had never moved from the house where I was originally, like the house that I grew up in. So it's kind of like sort of like a big change of environment. And I remember, I was kind of hooked up with my own room with a TV and a VCR, which was kind of cool. It was like a tiny TV, and it had the fucking knobs on it. It didn't even have a remote control. And the VCR was like, a hand me down, like parents never used it anymore. One of those big motherfuckers that like had the top that came out. You'd like click the button and go, and those had the knobs too. It was like a beast, but it was mine. Of course, I didn't have cable hooked up or anything like that. So really, all I'd do is watch movies, and what little movies I'd have either purchased in my own collection or taped off TV or what have you. So I mean, this movie, Scary Movie, I've seen this, Jesus, like 100 times, 200 times. I don't even know how many fucking times I've watched this. It is permanently engraved into my memory. That's how many times I've watched it. And so much so that anytime I watch Scream, I'm always like expecting like a Scary Movie joke to pop into, which is kind of weird, but that kind of speaks to how good of a spoof it is, I think. So that's just kind of my memory. Of this movie, just watching this ad nauseum, 12 or 13-year-old kid enjoying the raunchy fun, just over and over watching this movie because I didn't have TV or anything else. So yeah, not a bad memory, and kind of like a comfort. Movies as comfort food, basically. During a time of change in my life, so that's really nice. The movie itself, though, I honestly think it's one of the best spoof movies ever made. In part, I mean, it did sort of start the trend of really, really shitty spoof movies. But I mean, we can't really blame this movie for that just because it was a success. Because there were other successful spoof movies before that. And this is just so well done because this movie, it actually recognizes kind of what makes the movie that it's spoofing work, and recognize what you can kind of poke a hole in, what you can kind of say, hey, here is this scene here, it could be funnier this way. Basically, I mean, Scream itself, it already is like a satire of horror movies, so why don't they take that one step further, where in this scene, let's just throw in something completely ridiculous, which is what they do throughout the whole movie. Kind of the very principle of a spoof movie, not too unlike the principle of a remake, really. You're capitalizing off the success of a movie that's successful, basically. So there's that. But like with a remake, not all remakes will completely understand the movie that it's remaking, and not all spoof movies will completely understand the movie that they're spoofing. And in a lot of ways, with remakes, they'll just take what was very memorable and try to reassemble it into a new package, and that's what they'll do with spoof movies. Name any of those shitty fucking, Seltzer Friedberg movies that pretty much just take the clips we all seen in the trailers. They didn't even watch the actual movie. Here, it is basically like a remake of Scream, mixed in with I Know What You Did Last Summer, and the way they fuse the stories works way better than it has any right to. Scenes of dialogue and the set design looks exactly like the movies. Like it's as if you're watching Scream, but someone just flipped the switch and turned it into this zany comedy, which I love. Of course, beginning with that infamous chase scene where in the Drew Barrymore Scream opening, the killer has his fun with her and plays the game, and here it's Carmen Electra, and like right from the very first few seconds of this movie, it's going to be something funny and different. Just the way they did the voice of the killer, like, wanna play a game? I think that's just hilarious. Like the first second of this movie makes me laugh, and like the funny stuff where she's like killing the trick-or-treaters, or what's your favorite scary movie? Kazam. You ever see Shaq act? And all the horror cliches kind of get even more of a one-up than they do in Scream, where she's sees a table. Okay, so there's a knife, there's a handgun, there's a grenade, there's a banana. Two signs: safety, death. Things like that. So that's really funny. And of course it has really raunchy humor to the movie too. Like it doesn't shy away from any of that. This movie, in addition to being a pretty clever spoof, I think, in its own right, is just an unrelenting, unforgiving, raunchy comedy that is happily offensive. And you gotta give it credit for that. I mean, I take offense to certain things, but I mean, if you see stuff like South Park, they touch on everything. They don't leave any kind of stone unturned or topic unsearched, basically. And same with this movie. I mean, whatever they can make an offensive joke out of, they certainly do. And like this movie, I mean, it definitely kind of introduced us to Anna Faris too, playing Cindy, not Sydney, as the heroine of the movie, and of course we have other supporting characters too. Basically, they're kind of mixing in the cast of I Know What You Did Last Summer and the cast of Scream, and the group of kids who are being pursued by a killer. Basically, that's what they're trying to do. But they're mixing the two stories, where yes, there is the killer who's making the phone calls, stuff like that, has the ghost face mask, obviously, but they mix it in with that backstory of I Know What You Did Last Summer, where the kids, they accidentally kill the guy. But in here, the funny thing is, they didn't really kill him. I don't know. It's funny, and I do think it actually has a pretty good twist, because we expect, like, each character, for the most part, kind of represents their character in the corresponding movie. Like Cindy, obviously, is supposed to be Sydney. Bobby is supposed to be Billy. And we kind of think that Billy is turning out to be the killer, but, well, I mean, I won't really spoil it, but it has a kind of neat little twist to it. and just it pokes all these holes in all these scenes, like from both these movies, where like I mean, I would say I Know You Did Last Summer is much more rife for making fun of, and they really do that well because it's like, there's one scene where the teacher is up on the roof. He's like, I gotta jump. I can't stand these fucking greasy kids anymore. These little bastards. And then she's talking about, the killer pursuing them. She's like, as Jennifer Love Hewitt does in I Know You Did Last Summer, doing little spins as the camera moves the same way, kind of zooming out from an overtop angle. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? And he's like, what am I waiting for? You! Fuck you! Then he jumps, and I don't know, I think that's kind of funny. Just really kind of even more clever kind of stuff that, like, you gotta give it a lot of credit. Like with Scream, the principal was played by Henry Winkler, of course, the Fonz from 70s TV. This one, it's the actor that plays Spicoli in Laverne and Shirley, Principal Squigman. Wait, Squiggy? Who's Spicoli? Spicoli's fucking Welcome Back, Carter. Never mind. Plays Squiggy on Laverne and Shirley. Never mind. And, we get references to the Blair Witch Project where, up into the camera, the boogers are coming out. Sherry O'Terry playing Gale Thunderstorm or Gale Hailstorm or something like that. She's very funny, too. And they have kind of the same kind of relationship with her. And, wait for it, Doofy, instead of Dewey, who, again, David Arquette, he's supposed to be the bumbling Barney Fife type cop in Scream, but here he's flat out, just a doofus, basically. Maybe it's kind of an offensive thing, but I mean, again, the movie just kind of goes all out, and he's very funny. He's like, they do, like, they play on lines straight out of the movies, which I love. And they're not even like the memorable lines, they're just like the subtle lines, like in Scream where Rose McGowan, she's arguing with Dewey in the police station. She's like, when I'm wearing this badge, you're supposed to treat me like a man of the law. Mom said to treat me with respect. And, that's how it is in Scream. We have that same dialogue in Scary Movie, but then the Rose McGowan substitute in Scary Movie. Well, I mean, his badge is just like a paper cutout, and it's funny. And he has like a little squirt gun in his holster, and it's really funny and stupid. But then she's like, "Oh, well, Mom said to stop sticking your dick in the vacuum cleaner too," and everyone laughs at him. And then to take that even one step further, when we see him later with the vacuum cleaner, it's a end of credits sequence. So take that, Marvel. Where he's like having a breakup with, never mind, it's stupid, but like the thing is, like, we actually get the sense that the people who made this spoof movie, who wrote this spoof movie, who directed this spoof movie, saw the fucking movie, which is very important, because it doesn't feel like a cheap cash-in, which some remakes do, some spoofs do, feel like these complete cash-ins. So this kind of understands that, experience of watching a movie, then, hey, having a funny thought, what if this happened? Like, even like with Scream 2, we have, in substitute for the Jada Pinkett character, we have the Brenda character, where, what if in Scream 2, that opening, what if she was, she's yelling at the screen, saying, no, don't do that. What if she's just this completely obnoxious person who's like, has the camera in the theater, who's on her cell phone, and instead, before the killer even gets a chance, everyone in the theater just gets so pissed off and they kill her. That's funny, I think. And what if the obligatory scene where the one girl is just so sarcastic, and she obviously doesn't think it's the killer, like, oh, who is this, Joe whoever in a mask, haha, I'm really scared. What if they just took that to such an extreme where even as she's being killed, she keeps that sarcasm instead of the usual, cliche, which is, oh, until it's too late, she actually finds out. Here she's like, ooh, I'm stabbed, blood. Oh, I'm a gross, icky, scary, severed head. I think that's really clever. I don't know. I mean, this isn't high art, but you gotta appreciate how, this came from a place where the people who made the movie are also the audience of the movie that's being spoofed. So I really appreciate something like that. And I mean, I love Anna Faris so much. The funny thing is, she's like barely featured here. I think that's her. It doesn't even look like her, but I mean, this had a kind of great start to a great comedic career. I think she's one of the most hilarious actresses working today, and this kind of became her franchise too, which is kind of cool. Like, this became her signature series for a while until I think she kind of grew out of it. I think there were, I don't know how many there had been, but I won't really talk about the sequels because they weren't really that great. Even here it says, no mercy, no shame, no sequels. Not really. They've had quite a few. None worth talking about, I guess. I think they made up to number 5. I think Charlie Sheen and Lindsay Lohan were in that one. I didn't see it. Probably wasn't good. But, I mean, this movie as it stands, I do think it's one of the best spoof movies ever. And I gotta say, Damon Wayans, is it? Yeah, no, not Damon Wayans. Marlon Wayans, great as Shorty. One of the funniest characters. And if there's one thing that's at least tolerable about the sequels, is that he was in Scary Movie 2, which I liked, and Anna Faris too. But I mean, this kind of stands on its own as one of the funniest spoofs. So it really combined the Scream story and the I Know What You Did Last Summer story in a way that actually made cohesive sense in terms of the overall story. The problem with a lot of these spoof movies is that they just throw whatever the fuck they can and hope it makes sense later. Here there is actually, thought put into it, which I really like. So, I mean, again, it's not, this, obviously, this, surprisingly, if you're curious, this won no Academy Awards, but it doesn't stop it from being a great spoof movie, which it is. I just watched it again recently. I still don't have it on DVD, but I watched it on Netflix. Probably best to not watch it on VHS, because it's outdated, whatever. But that's the whole point of this video series, VHS Memories. I still laughed quite a bit. Oh, and one of my favorite parts, I forget the name of the actor. Who is it? I think it's Dave Sheridan, who plays the sheriff. Where another kind of cliche of all these movies is that there's always going to be the press conference, and where the sheriff says, "Do you have any leads, sheriff?" or whatever. Here, his scene is just like, well, the death of these teens has been tragic, but shit happens. I think that's hilarious. He's like, "Here, Cindy, look at these pictures," and it's him in a little onesie, a little European kind of banana hammock. And just like, what about this one? No, I don't. I think all that's really funny, and again has a really good ending with a twist, which, just in case, I won't give it away. But I mean, it's not. It's kind of like I'll say this much: a Usual Suspects riff, which is kind of interesting that they would decide to riff on that. Just a classic. I think it's one of the best, probably the last great spoof movie. I mean, we have satire, send-ups of, say, genres as a whole, like something like, say, for example, Shaun of the Dead, which is a zombie satire, but it's not really specifically spoofing that. Here it's very specific in what it's spoofing. So in terms of specifically spoofing a movie, I think this has to be one of the last great spoofs. So can't recommend this highly enough. Really enjoy my memories of watching this over and over again. And again, I've watched it so much, it's kind of dug into my mind so thoroughly that like I can't help it. Like when I'm watching Scream, kind of like expect kind of scary movie dialogue or scenes to show up and things like that. So that's how I think that speaks to how good it is and how well it kind of weaved the real movie into this fake spoof movie. So I think it's great. What do you think? Let me know below. Comment, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. That'll do it for this time. More VHS memories to come in the future. Until next time, I'll see you later.